So President Trump is a criminal, and he has just been busted for doing criminal things. Now, what things am I talking about? He's basically inflated the value of several of his properties illegally. Now, Trump claimed in his 2018 U.S. filing that his Turnberry and Aberdeen golf resorts were each worth more than $50 million. Now, for that same time period, he filed balance sheets with the UK government showing that their combined debt exceeded their assets by 47.9 million British pounds, the equivalent of about $64 million. His 2018 public financial disclosure, filed with the U.S. U.S. Office of Government Ethics, also claims that those two resorts had earned him income of about $23.8 million. His filings with the UK company's house office in Edinburgh for that same period showed the resorts had actually lost 4.6 million pounds, equal to about $6.3 million. So that's the details, right? Now, his US disclosure statement also failed to mention a $199.5 million loan Trump had made to those resorts, $54.9 million from him personally to Trump International Scotland and Aberdeenshire, and $144.6 million from his trust to Trump Turnberry in Ayrshire. Altogether, he lied about his assets, about the value and the profitability of these two Scotland golf courses by around $165 million. So, look, I just threw a lot of numbers at you. I just threw a lot of information at you. And I totally get if some of you are like, wait, what? But in total, again, he inflated his assets for these two golf courses to the tune of $165 million. So the problem with that is that you can't do that. In fact, Virginia Cantor, ethics law expert with Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, said this: the numbers don't appear to add up. She added, though, that OGE regulations give filers a fair amount of latitude in determining asset value, understandably. That said, she said, it's not at all clear after reviewing the UK balance sheet for Aberdeen how they came to $50 million, to having it worth that much. She said, I think it raises legitimate questions. And what questions are that? Why would it be worth so much when it has so much debt, essentially, so much in losses? What is it about that course that makes it worth $50 million? That's the question. Now, the other question is, of course, did he knowingly do it? Because if you knowingly provide false or incomplete information on those forms, it is a violation of the Ethics in Government Act, which is punishable to up to 1 year in prison. Not only that, but if you sign a form attesting to the untrue information, that is considered making a false statement, and that is punishable by up to 5 years in prison. So this is jail time that the president, again, I doubt that he will ever see the inside of a prison cell, and that's sad. But these are actual crimes. You cannot falsify statements. You cannot inflate or deflate your assets. So now the Trump organization has responded, naturally, by saying two sets of statements are filed under different accounting and legal standards, one in the UK, one in the United States. And they said as a result, while both filings provide financial information, the filings each have distinct reporting requirements and standards. Thus, the two filings cannot and should not be compared. But wait a minute. They should be, they're for the same companies, right? Why do they have such wildly different results? Well, I mean, because they have different reporting standards. But you made so much money and you had so much losses. I don't know. But here's the thing, right? So Trump has been deflating and inflating his assets to whatever suits him, right? And getting away with lying about it for years. In fact, on May of 2016, for example, then candidate Trump claimed in his financial disclosure forms that the two Scotland resorts were worth more than $100 million, even though he filed papers with Companies House on December 31st, 2015, acknowledging the courses had a combined value of negative $32.1 million. So not only were they not worth $100 million, they were actually in the red by 32 million. That is a huge, huge difference. They lost money, absolute disaster. Now, U.S. filings also contained erroneous information regarding Trump's Doonbeg resort in Ireland, which were similar requires annual disclosures from privately held companies. In 2015, 2016, and 2017, Trump told the Irish government the course had lost millions of dollars, $7.2 million in all, in that same period. Donald Trump also claimed in his American financial disclosures that the course had provided him tens of millions of dollars in income, totaling $37.4 million. So these numbers do not add up. They are wildly different. He's telling the Irish government, oh man, we lost so much money. And he's telling the American government, we made so much money. Pick one. Pick one. So now, the question, part of the question as well, is why would you want to inflate your assets? Well, I mean, there's a couple different reasons. For one, you could do it just for an ego boost. Oh, I'm worth so much money. You might think that that's silly. I think that that's silly. But for Donald Trump and people who want to be members of the club, oh, really, really important. Oh, I'm worth so much money. I'm worth $10 billion. Nowhere close to it. Nowhere close. But there's another reason. It's a little bit more practical. You want to make sure that you have larger assets so that you can get more loans, more bank loans. So now there's only one bank that would continue to loan to Donald Trump at this point, and that was Deutsche Bank. No other bank would touch it, especially any American bank. Why? Because he's been bankrupt 6 times, and he screwed over every other bank that was stupid enough to lend him money anyway, in the first place. So now, along with inflating his assets, Donald Trump's also done a different trick at different times of the year, and that's deflating his assets, claiming losses. Now, why would you want to do that? Now, it turns out that if you deflate your assets, you actually have to pay less in taxes. Oh, so Donald Trump's a tax cheat now. But of course, MAGA guys, you're out there saying, no, that's brilliant. Oh, I love it when Donald Trump cheats taxes. I love it when he, makes sure to pay less than I do in taxes. What a genius! Oh, congratulations! I wish I was rich like you. Well, you'll never be. It'll never happen. So look, what he's trying to do here by inflating and deflating his assets is that he's trying to basically have it both ways. Have his cake and eat it too. Now, what's interesting here, and this is one reason why the two differences, the different disclosure forms have such big differences, and that's disclosure requirements, right? So now you have Scotland and Ireland having more disclosure requirements, therefore being more accurate and having more detailed financial data. In America, we don't have any requirements, so it makes it easier for a criminal grifter to lie. And that's exactly what's happening, right? So we don't know, by the way, how many properties that Trump owns in America that he's lying about his income about. I mean, again, the guy's a grifter, he's a criminal, and apparently a very unsuccessful businessman. The man loses money, he hemorrhages money everywhere he goes. And we found out, by the way, after tax leaks, that within a 10-year span, Donald Trump lost over $1 billion. He's $1 billion loser. Sad baby. And here's the thing. When he loses money, he doesn't actually pay it, right? No, he takes out junk loans, and then he basically declares bankruptcy. He laughs in their face. He says, ha ha, I'm not going to pay you. You were stupid enough to loan me money that I pissed away, and I'm just not going to pay it back. I'm going to declare bankruptcy. You can't touch me. That's what he does. He's done it 6 times. He does not pay his bills. He does not pay his debts. In fact, speaking of debts, right? You have the fact that he owes several different cities money for campaign events. He owes Washington, D.C. Money for doing a ridiculous event there for July 4th, right? Where he brought out tanks and all sorts of ridiculous things. It literally bankrupted the city of the city of Washington when it came to their security budget. Not only that, but he also owes El Paso money. El Paso, Texas, which recently had a disaster, a disastrous and deadly mass shooting. He refuses to pay. I mean, this guy's a grifter. And not only that, but look, he's not rich. In the 2005 book Trump Nation, business journalist Timothy O'Brien wrote that Trump, at the time, was likely worth no more than around $250 million. You know what happened? Donald Trump sued him for defamation. But wait, he lost. And in the process, lied dozens of times about his business dealings in a deposition taken by O'Brien's lawyers. We have him on record lying about his finances. And in 2015, the National Journal found that Trump had made so many poor business decisions over the years that if he had just taken the fortune his father left for him in 1974 and put it into an index fund, he'd actually be wealthier than he is now. He's not a smart person. Okay. He's not a stable genius. He's not, he's a knucklehead. He's an idiot. He's literally the worst businessman on the planet, a dotard, a moron of the highest proportions. And this is before his mental decline had even started. Now it's probably worse. And that's why Donald Trump has to scam people over and over again. Trump University, the Trump Foundation. Those are just two examples. He's constantly ripping people off that work for him. He hires undocumented immigrants. This is not the business model of a billionaire, of somebody who's incredibly wealthy. No, this is a business model of a sad, pathetic snake oil salesman, a cheat, and a criminal. What do they like to say at these rallies? Lock her up? Well, we got a chant for him. Lock him up. Lock him up. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.